Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, William Lou. This one's really special, and this is why you got to watch it on YouTube. You got to watch it on TV, because the audio medium for this one will not be enough. I know a lot of people just listen on podcasts. You got to come through and look at the video. So joining us for the final segment today is President of Kilani Jewellery USA, Akram Kilani. First off, welcome. And,
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing all these pieces, man.
I appreciate it, man. We got lucky to have Van Vliet's piece right here in Toronto, knowing that he's playing for the Houston Rockets right now. So
yeah,
I'm glad to have it right on the show. I appreciate the invite. This is Akram Kilani from Kilani Jewellery. We're the official jewelers of the Toronto Raptors. Our first location located right in Forest Hill in Toronto, and our second building is getting built in South Beach, Miami, right in the heart of Miami on Lincoln and Washington Avenue. I look forward for that to come up. So, to keep the rise and the motivation for all the young youths that's following Kilani Jewelry. And I know we have a big factor in the inspiration of our business for everybody that is young, and they see us being part of the Toronto Raptors. So it's becoming more bigger for the culture and the hip hop industry too.
No, for sure. I mean, that's how I got connected, right? Through the connection with the Raptors, got connected with Steven. And, I was able to visit the shop yesterday and just to get a sense of, the history and sort of the work you guys do. And I thought it was a really interesting story from just a Toronto perspective, because we'll get to that chain. We'll get to the work that you guys have done with some Raptors, with some other, famous players. I think people might have heard about Stephen Curry, for example. So we'll get to all of that. But I wanted to talk about the business, because I didn't know this. You guys started out at a flea market.
Correct.
In Scarborough. Tell about the story, because that's an incredible ride.
It's a crazy story for people that knows Kilani Jewelry and that's been following Kilani Jewelry, following the Instagram and social media since we ever started. I started actually Instagram 2012, but our business was actually established 2001 right at the flea market in Scarborough. And as we first started, this is the jewelry business in our family has been passed on to us through generations, hundreds of years. All of our family were practicing jewelry making. But when we came to North America, we were able to take in the heritage from our families in jewelry making and implement the hip-hop industry or the hip-hop look with the bling-bling. Now, about 20 years ago, the business and the hip-hop jewelry wasn't so popular, but slowly, the world, many businesses, many organizations like the Toronto Raptors started to endorse the hip-hop industry more and the culture of hip-hop. And that's why you find the rise of the Raptors after 10 years ago, when you started to see Drake get involved and you start to see more and more of the young generation falling in love and winning the championship too. It made a big difference. So with Kilani Jewelry rise starting from the flea market, it was all from the support from the people that seen us putting our effort and time into the client himself by involving them in the jewelry making and educating them. That was the biggest factor, because in the jewelry business, a lot of people are missing or poor into having the education done right by a jeweler or people making their studies and stuff. So we're thankful enough to be able to actually grow with the community of the hip hop community here in Toronto. And definitely we made a difference with the organizations of sport, with a lot of players from basketball, baseball. We even had the Buffalo Bills visit us all the way from Buffalo when we were in the market trying to figure out who is Kilani Jewelry.
Because this is the thing. The flea market is pretty well known if you're in Scarborough, but we're in Eglinton.
Yes.
And you had the Buffalo Bills come through the flea market.
Yes, so the team and most of the players are still there. So this was an inspiration. That was due to the fact of us working on the standards. We were able to put up standards so that way we don't lose our clients. So we put up standards in our making, and we innovated our designs completely out of the box. And we were able to bring in new designs, new technology, new craftsmanship into our jewelry that made the world speak Kilani Jewelry before we even moved out of the flea market.
I got you. Well, you guys are now in Forest Hill. You guys are soon to be in Miami as well. Okay, let's talk about the chain right in front of you, right? So this one, I think for any Raptor fan, they've definitely seen this a couple of times. This is Fred VanVleet's chain that you guys made custom for him. Yeah, I mean, first off, it just happens to be here because he sent it ahead of time, right, to get it clean. He's going to pick it up when the Rockets play the Raptors next week. But take me through the ideation and also the creation and what is actually in this thing, because it's in real life, it's crazy. It's like holographic in a way.
Yes, the whole craftsmanship and the work that was done on Van Vliet, This is his trophy piece, basically, when he got re-signed with the Toronto Raptors after winning the championship. We were lucky to actually meet Van Vliet when he was at the 905 Raptors, and we were able to create this logo with him when he first started with the Toronto 905. And we built a small little piece. And when he moved on,
it used to be much smaller than this, like maybe like a tenth of the size.
Exactly. And it had a little bit of diamonds. And then when he moved up into the Raptors, he made the same piece fully iced out with the tennis chain. And as he won the championship, he wanted to have the Toronto Max look on his piece. And he wanted to put the money back, bet on yourself. Now, to really describe, this is his logo, made in rose gold and white gold, fully studded and iced out with the diamonds quality that used by Kilani Jewellery, so VVS, DEF, and excellent cut. Now, this one is done with 2 plates. The first plate is white gold. The raised plate, which is contain his logo, and rose gold with the money bag and the number 23. So if you see, it's right here in the back, right here.
Okay.
So every time he looks down, he remember his trophy coming in here. And the chain, the Cuban chain, to accommodate the whole piece, as you see it right there.
Yeah.
Now, he was not only the one person that actually we were lucky to meet with and were able to work on creating his logo. We had Stephen Curry, too, come into our building at the time when COVID was happening. He was staying in here for like 3-4 months. And I got a call, and they said, Aisha wants to visit the Kilani Jewelry Complex. We were ready to accommodate him. And as he seen the jewelry and the making, and he went through the factory, he even asked us to go through with him and start to create his own logo with him.
Oh, wow.
And we were able to bring in his logo made in white gold or rose gold, double plates the same way. But we were able to bring it to perfection to where people can see it, which is the 3 points. That's what he's famous with. And the SC for Stephen Curry, all incorporated in one. So this was a big one, too, for us, including Chris Boucher from the Toronto Raptors, Gary Trent. Now his piece is the most iconic piece made out of Kilani Jewellery with the Toronto Max finish too.
So you don't have that one, unfortunately, here. But I think I've seen it because I went to the Raptor City Social, and I think you guys had a stand. You guys were one of the presenting sponsors. And I think that's when I saw the piece. And I believe it has like a gigantic like red ruby in the middle. Or
yes,
like
the red ruby to represent his birthstone, and the JR to represent his first initial and last initial, including the thunders and rain dripping on his initials.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, when players come in, obviously there's you guys have designers, you guys have, crafters, everything like that. How much is it like players bringing their own ideas? Because you know what I mean? Like when you come up, when you're trying to make it and eventually you do make it and you become that successful, you can actually turn these kind of ideas into realities. So I'm sure they have some ideas as well. Like Fred's piece, for example. Is this like Fred coming in with the idea and just, coming through with the creativity, or how does that kind of collaboration work?
First of all, it all starts with the communication and the relationship that you put out with the player themselves. Once the player starts to feel comfortable with the person that they're working with and on creating their logo or anything that they're working with, they start to tell you more about their life story, how they feel, how they came up, what do they see themselves, how do they see themselves, and that's when you start to absorb from them, and we start to sketch and design ideas for our players based on their perspective, based on their imaginations when they're speaking. We absorb these imaginations and we start with a sketch, one simple sketch. That sketch turns into 2 to 3 till the final step. Now, all this is the most important steps when it comes down to designing any piece, because you cannot pick a computer to create for you a logo. It has to be something out of the box completely. And that's what Kilani Jewelry always stands for. Designing different jewelry, making people stand out anywhere they go with our astonishing craftsmanship and quality, And this is where it starts. As soon as the player or the client agree to a design or a sketch that we actually created for him, it goes from there into actually modeling, computerized, 3D rendering, where we make them see it completely on how it's going to look before finished product. Once they start to see that, the piece starts to come to life. And, with Kilani Jewelry and the Toronto Max standards, there's nothing we touch unless it comes 100%. That's why you see the water, the flat. Now I'm looking at the camera right here on TV. It makes me so proud because I never see it the other way around, So
I hear you.
This is great. So this is how it all started.
That's really interesting. Now, okay, this is my question with this is, how do you discuss budget for something like this? You know what I mean? For the everyman like me, I'm like, you know what? I can't conceive this. Maybe if I work my whole life, I can get to that point. But of course, the conversation is a little different with like celebrities, with musicians, players and stuff like that too. So how do you approach budget with something like this? So they tell you like, hey, we got like, just walk me through that part.
It depends on the client.
Okay.
With Kilani Jewellery, when you see Kilani Jewellery, you always see the quality, you see the craftsmanship. It doesn't matter if it's plain or with diamonds. The very most important thing for Kilani Jewellery is making sure every piece that gets made by Kilani Jewellery or designed by Kilani Jewellery, it comes into the hand of our client with complete satisfaction. It has to be satisfying our standards before it reaches the hand of our client. And when you look at budgets, every person does have a budget. And with Kilani Jewellery, we have no budgets in anything. We can make you anything comes in from smaller goods for nameplates, gifts and ideas, because you could have a client that could spend hundreds or $300,000, but at the same time, these same clients like to buy some type of gifts for nieces, nephews, christening, baptism, and it makes a difference in there. So the budgets are always wide open for Kilani Jewellery. All it needs the client knowing what they want, knowing what their budget's at, and know they are ready to make the move, because these are the most important. Even when you want to get married, the first thing you want to know, make sure that the lady says yes before you make your move. So the very most important, you want to know if she's going to be ready for you or not. Then from there, you get to know what she likes, what she doesn't like, and then you put in your budget, and then you create the engagement. Same thing with any customization. You have to know what you want, create a budget, and then go in and be ready for this. Now, when it comes down to the players, when I first met him, he had a budget. So when we created the first piece, because he has 3 pieces. The first one he gave out to his brother, and the second one is the main trophy after he signed in with the Raptors, and the third one is after winning the championship. So the first one, he had a budget, and we had to maintain that budget and make sure we meet, of course, his standards. Once he felt comfortable and he felt the quality, and he felt the amount of comments and compliments that he got, he realized he wanted something more powerful. So we made the second piece. Now he gave up another budget. On the third one, the man had no more budget. He's like, just go hard, bet on yourself, put the money back, right on my piece, and let make it different. So that's how it's usually work. It's my dad calls it the Kilani addiction. Starts with 1 and it ends up with 10.
Hey, can I just ask, what's the budget? Like, give me the ballpark for this.
A budget for a piece like this, what can I say? With the making, and because of the loyalty of clients, everybody has a standard of getting in their prices. But a piece like this will be over 100K, that's for sure. A chain like this, over 130,000, 140,000.
Okay, all right, you do the math.
Yeah.
Last big client I wanted to ask you about, working with Drake. There's an iconic, I don't know how many pieces you guys have done together, but I know there's definitely one. It's like a big O. It weighs 3.5 pounds. Features about 2,100 diamonds. It's the one that he wore when he was writing Views. He used to say he was put that chain on. It was so heavy, and it was a stinking chain. And
Channing Tatum, that's what they called him. Channing Tatum.
So walk me through that one. Obviously, everyone wants to know about Drake.
Drake is the most iconic human being ever Toronto have witnessed. This is the best way I could say it.
I don't think there's an argument.
Anybody that is out of Canada and was in my era, growing up, going through the culture of hip-hop and finding the toughness and the hardness from people accepting the culture back then and trying to make it out there for Canadian artists to be able to get to the south side of our borders and be able to make a difference. It was very tough. So to find someone like him out of Canada, you definitely have to give him his flowers, because he was able to make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, of course.
He opened up the doors for a lot of artists. He opened up the doors for a lot of athletes. He opened a lot of doors. He opened the door even for the Toronto Raptors to actually get the championship, because
All-Star
once he
game.
signed an All-Star, getting it in here. So definitely Drake made a difference in our life. I really enjoy having the moment that I actually met him, dealt with him, and was able to collab on many pieces with him, including the keys for DJ Khaled. We created other pendants, an OVO teardrop with rubies. I remember we created a charged up piece for him. We created October very own pendant with the O and the red ribbon. There has been a lot of pieces. We even did commissioned by him an owl for Kevin Durant with the 35 blue when he was signed to the Golden State, when he was first signed to them.
Oh, that's just like a gift?
That was a gift by Drake to Kevin Durant. And we actually have a photo of it on the Kilani Jewellery. So working with Drake definitely made a difference. The first time we ever worked with Drake, it was around 2012. We never posted any of the pieces that we worked with Drake, because a lot of people that comes to Kilani Jewellery, even back then when we were in the flea market, they found themselves in a safe heaven where you don't see us going around posting it, going crazy.
Sure.
They found more of privacy.
Yeah, you do need that part.
And making jewelry, shopping big like this, or creating pieces as gifts and stuff like that, you want people to be more private about certain pieces that you make. So we were very private about our relationship with him until we actually made the Big O, and that's when he posted Kilani Jewellery and said made from the same city, which is with the same people. And the Big O made it different. Mm-hmm. He was waiting for the Big O to finish. We were delayed to wrap it up for him on time for the Views album. And we literally came in. He made a shift on the timing for the Views album. I believe it was end of April 29th.
It got delayed.
It got delayed for 2 weeks, and it was all because of the Big O. And when the Big O finished, that's when the stinking chain came together.
That's an amazing story. Well, hey, listen, Akram, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for icing out the studio. It's never looked this good in the studio.
Man.
But we've run out of time today. So I've been your host, Wolu. You've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new chunky spicy soup. It's time to get fired up. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the show. Today, best of all days, you got to find the YouTube. You got to find the TV. Go look at the pieces. They're incredible. But thanks to our guests, Michael Grange, Kelly Eco, Mark Stein, of course, Akram Kilani. We'll be back next week.